Journalists have always played an incredibly important and crucial role in our society. They hold down our freedom to information. They let us know what's going on in the world through their stories, keeping us connected to things that we otherwise probably wouldn't have a clue about. These journalists are important, they're honest, and they're hardworking. This journalist, I'm afraid, might not be one of those people. A journalist by the name of Kat has used the crazy Wi-Fi mom who falsely accused her ex-husband of inappropriately touching their children because he wouldn't give her the Wi-Fi password. This journalist has used this woman as a poster child in NBC News New York for what happens to women when they come forward with their allegations of abuse. She has falsely represented the men's rights community and used me to do so. Although I should be ashamed of myself, slap on the wrist, because I expected anything more from a journalist who thinks it's a hot take to tweet about a bride who left her groom at the wedding reception because he smushed cake into her $1,600 makeup. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me. This is apparently journalism-worthy news. This woman is such a one-in-a-lifetime Becky that even I wouldn't make a video about this post. Her post basically says that he smashed wedding cake into her $1,600 makeup, which ended up saving her $50K in divorce fees, her net worth, blah blah blah, by showing how little he respected me, nice and early so I could still qualify for an annulment. I left our reception venue without saying a word and filed for paperwork in the Uber home. He may have been embarrassed, he was probably brokenhearted, but he probably had the sympathy of everybody at that reception, except for the bride's mother and toxic drunk sister. But this journalist who had to misrepresent an entire movement's issue with the Wi-Fi mom thought it would be a hot take to retweet Dora. Oh dear God. Noah, get the boat. She says this isn't the point, but people really don't understand how much professional makeup costs. I've seen people pay $10K for professional makeup on their wedding day. That's why I'll be doing my own for free. I'll take who asked for 100, Alex. Before I really dive into this video, I want to make it very well known that this Wi-Fi mom has claimed that because of my video and this community, somebody wrote a link to my YouTube video, put it on a post-it note, and stuck it to her front door. I need to state on the record to you, please do not go after this journalist or the Wi-Fi mom. When we stoop as low to shallow attacks, shallow insults, death threats, as this woman claims that she has received, we completely lose our credibility and our standpoint. We lose the message. So please, men's rights matter. We fight every single day to be taken seriously. We are constantly being misrepresented. Help me help this community by keeping it peaceful. Thank you. Let's continue. It is so fucking hot in my house. Oh my God. Okay, so if you need a refresher on the Wi-Fi girl and why me and my community became interested in her in the first place, here's a really quick blip to sum it up. I'm gonna go turn my heat down and my air conditioning on.
I'm trying to leave, please.
Sleeping in the bed with me.
I'm trying.
I didn't say that. What's the Wi-Fi password? What's the Wi-Fi password, Joe? What's the Wi-Fi password? What's the Wi-Fi password? You really want me to call Wi-Fi password? You really want me to call the cops for this?
Go for it. Go for it. What are they going to do? They're going to laugh at
You're
you.
an abusive narcissist.
I'm not doing anything.
Raped me.
I haven't done anything.
Yep, you've done everything.
No, I haven't done anything.
I've touched my kids too.
I haven't done anything.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Please say that. Please say that.
What? You've probably touched my kids, and I need to protect them.
Why would I believe a single word you have to say if you got upset with him and started saying that, like, he was touching children and shit? Like, you understand when you make baseless claims like that you lose accountability?
I understand that, and I would agree.
So did he touch your kids?
As far as I know, no. He didn't touch my kids.
So why did you say that?
Because I was most likely in a fit of anger, obviously.
Videos on the internet will not always have nuance. So, we saw that. What we weren't aware of is that the man recording the video had already been fired by the Coast Guard. She had gone to them with allegations of abuse. They investigated, they fired him. I don't know if he was charged. I haven't seen anything about him being charged, but it was enough for the Coast Guard to fire him. If she was able to make a heinous accusation such as a sex crime against children because
I was most likely in a fit of anger, obviously.
And naturally, most of us have a salty taste in our mouths about the situation. If you're able to make a false allegation like that, then who's to say that you weren't falsely accusing him to the Coast Guard? But then we have to look within ourselves and ask ourselves, how much faith do we have in the system? If we say we don't have faith in the system here, that she surpassed it and he got fired due to her false allegations, we have to ask ourselves, what about other cases that have gone in our favor? What about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? We had faith in the system to say that it did him justice. So can we say that the Coast Guard failed this man here? I don't know. I never took a stance on whether or not she was abused. But at the end of the day, the nuance we lacked is that he was fired and he, in return, posted this video on the internet. The stance I feel this journalist has taken is that this man posted it on the internet as a fuck you, which could be. Now, to me, whether or not she was a victim of abuse or he was a victim of abuse was never my stance, was never my business. My business was purely the allegation of touching the children, which was clear to me and the rest of the world at the time that the video went viral, before I even spoke to her face to face, was a false allegation. Now we know it's a false allegation. We didn't know about her coming forward with abuse, so for this article to say that she's a poster child for what happens to women when they come forward with abuse is kind of a lie, because none of us knew that she'd come forward with allegations of abuse. All we saw was a video he posted of her throwing out allegations like it was candy on Halloween Day. The article states, Samantha White's life hasn't been the same since December, when videos posted by her ex-husband went viral on TikTok, Reddit, and other social media platforms. The videos appear to show her and her ex-husband engaged in series of arguments. She was dubbed Wi-Fi Chick in comments and captions of a video of her repeatedly asking for the Wi-Fi password during an argument gained traction. In another, she screamed at Venice not to do this as he pointed the camera at her. While the videos didn't include context, Venice would be heard saying White was yelling when she doesn't get her way, and most of the comments took his side, characterizing White as crazy, emotional, and villainous. Now, there seems to be this idea in society that whenever we catch a woman on camera acting a certain way, that it's just her being made to act this way, right? At the end of the day, if we are going to acknowledge that women have full capabilities and rights over their own autonomy, then we have to acknowledge that women can also make decisions that make them look bad, that are bad, that may put them in a light that isn't favorable. Because I would argue that saying you probably touched my kids over not getting the Wi-Fi password, it's kind of villainous. I would also say that it's villainous to just turn off the Wi-Fi password one day. It seemed like he was trying to use some sort of reactional abuse, trying to get her to act crazy so that he could have a case. But I would like to point out that he took this video before she went forward with allegations to the Coast Guard, and he only posted it 5 days after he was fired. Venice posted videos with screenshots of other texts that showed her full name, phone number, leading to a wave of online abuse. Yeah, so that's not okay. The fact that he showed her full name and phone number, knowing that she was the mother of his children, I think is that in itself shows abusive tendencies, and it is 100% just not okay. White had already carved out a small following on TikTok where she posted about being a widow from a previous marriage and a survivor of abuse during her marriage to Venice. But after Venice's videos took off, her experience on TikTok and on the internet in general sourced. She was talking about the abuse that she experienced. She had made it public first. In a phone interview, Venice said he didn't expect his TikTok videos to gain as much traction as they did, and that his intention in posting them was to show his side. Hey, I'm also experiencing mistreatment, and yes, falsely accusing somebody of touching your children is mistreatment, to put it lightly. He said he made plenty of mistakes in his relationship to White. If any of us have somebody in our lives that really like to hurt us but don't like to fully take accountability for it, they will often say things like, I made mistakes. They won't really elaborate or take full accountability on what those mistakes are. They just say, I made mistakes. My mother, my very abusive mother who adopted me from Romania, would tell my friends, oh, I made mistakes. Woman, you fucking starved me and locked me in a fucking room naked. All right. That's a pretty big mistake, so I just want to point that out. In 2021, White and Venice divorced after a year of marriage. They lived in military housing on a naval base where Venice worked in a Coast Guard. After White left, she reported Venice to the Coast Guard for emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. Venice responded by accusing White of emotional and physical abuse. Last year, after an investigation, the Coast Guard found that White's allegations and the evidence she provided met its criteria for emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, while Venice's didn't. I would be curious to see how they were able to prove sexual abuse and why he's not being charged. I'm not saying that it wasn't proved. I don't know. I did not see the case. I'm not a part of the military, so maybe that's something that people who are a part of the military, veterans, maybe you guys can comment on, you know, the credibility, how well they do in their investigations. 5 months later, in November, the Coast Guard discharged Venice for misconduct. 5 days after that, he uploaded the videos to TikTok. She came forward with abuse, but they didn't discharge him till 5 months later, and it was misconduct? Is sexual abuse and physical and emotional abuse considered misconduct? I'm not a part of the military, so I don't know. This is really confusing to me. In a YouTube video posted after his discharge, Venice said he took bad advice from legal representation in the Navy and wasn't able to present his side during the investigation. The Coast Guard holds our personnel accountable to our core values of honor, respect, and devotion to duty, and does not tolerate any form of abuse. We take allegations of domestic violence seriously, thoroughly investigate each case, and hold members appropriately accountable. NBC News reviewed military documents, more than 300 text messages White shared between her and Venice, emails between White and Venice's, and their individual social media histories over the past 3 years. One email sent to White after a fight in their marriage appears to show him writing, "Like you say, I'm abusive, I don't love you, don't care about you, I'm a horrible husband, I shouldn't have pushed you, I'll come home later tonight, I'm done. Goodbye, Samantha, I'm not good for you, I'm blocking the email as well." In a text exchange, he called her derogatory names and wrote, "I will treat you like this every day until you decide to leave." That's a little fucked up. Now here's where I come into play. White said that after Venice's videos went viral at the end of last year, the online attention eventually calmed down. But then in April, the videos were picked up by an influencer, Chloe Roma, whose legal name is Chloe Sunderland. Thanks. A YouTuber with over 1 million followers and more than 400 million views. I would just like to say it's 500 million now. 2 billion impressions. Thank you so much, you guys. I love you guys. Mwah, mwah. Sunderland is one of dozens of similar creators who have turned domestic disputes and abuse allegations into culture war fodder with a particular narrative. First of all, I did not know that she went to the Coast Guard with those allegations of abuse. Nobody did. All we saw was her making very loose claims of abuse, which she later recounted to me. So to misrepresented like that, I think is kind of fucked up. She says that men are some of the most serious victims of societal discrimination. No, I think that would probably be trans people right now, black people, gay people, definitely men. Guess what? Women are also in there. Like, we all have shit. It is a narrative that has become particularly popular and lucrative online after the celebrity defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So, like, what is she trying to hint at here? Are you trying to say that ever since the trial, women are not being believed? Because I would say that ever since the trial, society, including women, by the way, because women are a part of society, opened their eyes and realized, shit, some of us are capable of some really disgusting things. And some of us have only highlighted that men were the ones capable of those really disgusting things. And now we see, actually, women are capable of those things too. Does that mean that all women should be held accountable for few women's actions? No. Just like all men should not be held accountable for a few men's actions. Thank you. "We're nobodies," White said in a phone interview. "This is my real life. This is a normal person's life that has been treated as a celebrity's life in the most negative light." But I would like to point out that she was online talking about her abuse. So she was the one that had brought it into the limelight. If somebody like me had picked up on one of her videos and painted her as this like huge victim and him as the villain, and there was no allegation against the child made, because let's be honest, if that part wasn't in the video, that video would not have gone as viral. I definitely wouldn't have responded to it. I remember watching the video because it kept getting sent to me and thinking to myself, why are people sending this to me? This seems like a dispute between a couple. And then she threw that allegation out. And I'm like, That's why. Sunderland's men's rights activism is a part of a loosely connected network of internet personalities who advance the same agenda. The men are discriminated against in relationships and broader society. Does feminism not have that agenda as well, that women are discriminated against? So like, why do you say it's an agenda as if it's not true? Because feminism says the antithesis, and I would argue that it's true. Both are true. Social media platforms have become battlefields for abuse allegations where men's rights advocates argue that many of these allegations are false. Okay, first of all, I do not go after women who have come forward with allegations of abuse and depict apart why they're lying. I depict apart that this woman was lying because she admitted that she lied. Are we just forgetting this? Are we leaving this out? We're just pretending like I attacked her for absolutely no fucking reason. It was obvious it was a lie. She luckily admitted to me and then the public through me that it was a lie, something she never would have admitted otherwise. White said that his videos posted made her look crazy, but the reactions to them shows that people want victims to be meek, scaredy cats. No, people expect victims to not lie, to not make allegations because
I was most likely in a fit of anger, obviously.
You see how much is being misrepresented here? And when I spoke to this journalist on the phone, she said to me that she originally wanted to focus on the fact that she made a false allegation, but her editors told her not to, that it wasn't as important, and to go with this narrative. And personally, I don't even know what to believe. They're journalists. They lie. She said in one of the videos, he included screenshots of text messages in which White conveyed that she had raised her voice and thrown things at him. That's abusive. That is abuse. I've never claimed to be a perfect goody two-shoes victim. When I realized what he was doing was abuse, I was angry. I wasn't perfect, but I don't regret getting angry. Okay, but nobody attacked you for getting angry. I think it was sus that he just turned off the Wi-Fi. It seemed like he wanted to get a reaction. But she is responsible for her own choices. And just because he turned off the Wi-Fi password or she's a victim of abuse, that does not mean that it is okay to throw your children into the mix and under the bus and say that their father touched them. White said she messaged Sunderland on Instagram after she saw the initial video, offering to share the evidence that her ex-husband was abusive, including the discharge from the Coast Guard for emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. Sunderland responded by video calling White and berating her while on the call. At the end of the call, which lasted only a few minutes, Sunderland informed White that she would be making another video about her on YouTube. Oh, but no mention there about how in that call she admitted that she falsely accused her husband, right? Interesting how she didn't mention that. White shared screenshots of her messages with Sunderland, which NBC News shows White also sent Sunderland the Coast Guard documentation of her abuse. I'm not looking at this. Sunderland appeared to respond. Because that was never my position. If your husband abused you, that is a problem. What does that have to do with you throwing your fucking children under the bus? This is disgusting. It's just a huge misrepresentation. White shared screenshots of comments and messages she received after Sunderland talked about her, including threats of violence towards her and threats to call children protective services on her. Like, that's not okay. It's just so petty. It's stupid. Making threats like that is illegal, and if she decided to charge the people who made those threats, I would fucking stand beside her. Don't like her, but I don't stand by that type of behavior. It's abusive. It's disgusting. Men's rights content has thrived online for years. The framing of women making false allegations against men has exploded in the past year after the Depp trial drew major attention online. Creators like Sunderland have moved on to relatively unknown men and women like White and her ex-husband, leaning heavily towards blaming women and exonerating men. Videos of breakups and upset women have become their own niche content and genre. And she acknowledged that her videos fall into a pattern of assigning blame to women and identifying men as victims in domestic disputes. That's because most of the videos I touch on, it is very fucking obvious that he is the victim, right? So in that video, he was the victim of a false allegation. I'm gonna call that out. I'm not gonna be like, oh, you were abused previously? I didn't know that. I mean, this is just so much bullshit. I refuse to continue to read it. I will link it in the comments if you guys want to finish it. It's just more of her saying, I never posted the allegations online. I was a private citizen. Well, you did, because by that article's claim, you were making these videos before he ever posted his videos. So, like, The fact that the men's rights community is just an easy fucking low-hanging fruit target is like an insult to me. And people in my personal life were like, oh, well, NBC News wrote an article on you and that's so good. Sure. If I need a fucking huge slice of humble pie, this isn't about me. They used the men's rights community, they used me to paint a false narrative of something that really fucking matters to me. Just made us seem like fucking bullies. Made it seem like I admitted that I just target these innocent women. Made it seem like she was an innocent woman. Left out the fact that in that phone call, she admitted to falsely accusing her fucking husband. Journalists, ladies and gentlemen, women and men not being believed is a fucking pandemic issue. Guess what? Children aren't even believed, okay? This is not a gendered fucking issue. So to leave out information just to intentionally paint the men's rights community as some fucking danger to women is just an absolute fucking insult. I'm just frustrated. This shit fucking matters to me. This message matters to me. Men matter to me. There's no excuse when the answer was right in front of your eyes. You want to blame the fucking editors, Kat? Oh, the editor said it wasn't important enough. Okay, a sex crime against a man. Not important. I calmed down and I realized something. If a news source like NBC News, which is a very big source, if they have to very intentionally misrepresent a movement like ours, Roma Army, this men's rights movement, then you know what? That means that we're actually a threat. And we shouldn't be a threat because men matter too shouldn't be like a threatening thing. It shouldn't be like a big threat to acknowledge that like some women are capable of doing heinous things just like some men are capable of it as well. Like that shouldn't be a threat, but clearly it is. And you know what that means? It means that we're making a fucking difference. So whatever. I'm just gonna keep on doing it. Thank you.
Never did fumble. Derrick Henry with the ball running through. All of y'all here to juke. That my dog celebrating. Thank the Lord. I've been down. I had my flaws doing me. Now praise to God. Going big gorilla on y'all. Out my cage. Just get this.